Do you know who you are? Welcome to another edition of African Americans Ain't African, the talk show that proves without a shadow of a doubt that the so-called African American didn't find his way to America locked in the trunk of a ship. I'm your host, Buck Wylam. And I know y'all like that Be True to the Game Ice Cube. Yeah, that was Ice Cube back when he was popping. So be true to the game. That's the kind of flow we're going to go with tonight on, on us indigenous people here in America. What is our plight? What are we doing? Seriously, I would love to hear your answers. The people who are out there listening, please call with your answers. What are we doing? As a people who have been produced by life, by this earth, what are we doing? What is our position? If life was to come up and tap all of us on the shoulder, what would we say? How will we speak to life? And what will we say? Tonight, we're going to have a fireside chat on breaking the ties that bind. If you have any questions, if you had anything you want to add, if you see a direction that may be beneficial for the so-called African American so they can move on forward with life and do something other than what we're doing now, we welcome your calls. You can call us at 605-562-3140. Could you please mute your phone if there's going to be noise in the background, please? Call us at 605-562-3140. To get in and participate in the phone call, 240-670 #. You can check us out on Facebook in the African American Ain't African chat room, and go to our website, africanamericans.org. Check us out. We have a ebook on sale now. Go check us out. Support us. We live in a system that daily shows us that we are not welcome. We don't want you, and at the same time, you got many of us saying we want to separate. We want to take control. We want to take control of our own lives. So that's one of the first separations that the so-called African American community have. There's a system that's a dichotomy, and we all see it. We all see what's going on with us. We all see this, what's happening to our sons, fathers, daughters, wives every day. Many of us are saying we want to separate and take our lives in our own hand. Are we ready for that? In the spring of 1921, the indigenous community of Tulsa, Oklahoma was burned to the ground. Police arrested more than 6,000 indigenous people. 10,000 were left homeless. 35 city blocks were destroyed by fire. It was reported 300 fatalities, but the numbers that many say could have well been into the thousands. 191 businesses destroyed. The junior high school was destroyed. Now remember, this was before Brown versus the Board of Education. What kind of education were those children getting, being taught by those people who had built the city, who was building their city like this? And remember, many of the people who helped burn down Tulsa, Oklahoma, they were Southerners because that was a bad time in America. And so they were coming to Oklahoma because of the free lands, and because Oklahoma just became a state in 1907. So a lot of people were rushing to Oklahoma. But this group of indigenous people had built this city. Nothing was there, and they built it up. Several churches were burned to the ground. So the same people that gave you Jesus burned your worship centers to the ground, and you still worship them? For real, cuz? They burnt the only hospital in town. So the sick that were trying to get well, they didn't have a chance. Over 1,200 houses were burned. Yet, years later, the Negroes sought mightily to live next door to these same people. Why did we do this? Why did whites do this? Why did white people attack black people like this? Well, if you read their narrative, you get basically the same story you get with Emmett Till. I mean, the stories just go on and on, and this is how they present our history to us. And if they present our history to us, we are going to be what they present to us. That's why Tulsa had built their own school, so they can teach their children what they needed to do in life. We've turned away from that. Today, we don't even think about Tulsa and what those people accomplished because, like every listener listening, we all know that if we're going to be a viable, please mute your phones, please. That if we're going to be a viable people on this planet, we're going to have to take our lives in our own hands. Now, the main problem we face is fear. That's why we don't talk about it. But we're going to talk about it tonight. Because we know we have sacrificed our lives to make other people's lives comfortable, and ourselves obsolete. 94 years after Tulsa, and we still haven't taken a step toward liberation. What we going to do about it? Joining me as always is my co-host Rick Moon. Rick Moon, you like that be true to the game, Ice Cube?
Yeah, but he wasn't talking about you, was he?
Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. And even that song says it. Unfortunately, there are other things that make us succumb to be part of what destroys us all. So how you doing How you doing today, brother? Everything going great up there in Charlotte?
Oh, yeah, everything's lovely. And I also want to say hello to all the people out there listening.
Cool. Nisi, what's going on, sister? How you doing?
This
I'm doing
one?
good. Hey, my brothers, my beloved family, doing good, doing good.
Nisi, what's going on today?
Well, I got a few things, about three things that really, really struck my eye, and it's something that we need to be mindful of. First, I'd like to talk about, real quick, briefly, about this historic review about microscopic hair analysis that uncovers 96%, let me say that one more time, 96% error rate, okay, that has been disclosed by the DOJ, Department of Justice, the FBI, Federal Bureau of Investigation, the Innocence Project, which is, of course, is an advocacy for justice and equal treatment and so forth, as far as the disparity in the judicial system, the National Association of Criminal Defense Lawyers, okay? So this stuff basically, and I won't belabor the point, is junk science. Understand that there are people who are dead because of faulty junk science that they likely knew was garbage. Okay?
Now, Nisi, is that DNA?
It is, as it relates to hair, and all they can say is they're sorry.
So if they can't get it straight on the hair, if there's a, what you say, 96% fallacy rate on the hair, what would the fallacy rate be? Because your hair is right there on your head. What would be the fallacy rate on giving somebody your DNA and letting them go in there and tell you, bring it back and tell you where you come from? What would be the fallacy rate on that?
They keep trying, people who are committed to truth keep trying to get it out. But the thing about a lot of people is that once they've been indoctrinated with something, and they said it best during World War II, keep telling the same lie, repeat it over and over and over, and people embrace it. So therefore, when the truth is revealed, they denounce that. So, and this has to do with the mitochondrial DNA. So it was saying that the review of the cases that were worked prior to 2000, when mitochondrial DNA testing began and became routine for the FBI, all of that stuff was junk science, and 26 out of the 28 FBI agents analysis provided their testimony. And again, with these erroneous bullshit, all they could say, sorry, we're sorry.
Are you serious?
As a heart attack.
So this is what I'm saying. So is this what we integrated to be? If this is what we decided to make ourselves part of? And I'm sorry, I don't get the whole integration thing. I don't get the whole integration where we integrate into a system that would do that. And I think back then we knew that. Why would we want to? Could you mute your phones, please? Why would we do that? Why would we do that on purpose? Why would we? I mean, because 1921, what I'm seeing, what's happening today. I mean, every other day I'm seeing these images of brothers being shot down. Every day I'm seeing these images of sisters crying. Every day I see us, when I see the people out in the street, they don't have a happy look on their face. What are we doing? What are we doing? Are we fulfilling the purpose of life? Because we all have life, but what are we doing with it? What are we doing with our life? And how come we can't take care of our lives? Why do we always have to depend on somebody else? Those brothers back in those days, they built their own schools. Why aren't we doing that? Why aren't we doing that? And they weren't teaching no African shit either. They weren't teaching it. They weren't Africans. They were indigenous people. And so now how they're writing our history, they're calling those peoples back there African Americans. That's to hook you to them. But those people have never heard the term African Americans. And these are the things that we take. These are the ideologies. These are the lessons that we take to guide us. And you see what it's done to us. So what are we doing, and what is it going to take for us to stand on our own 2 feet? What are some of the things that we can start doing now? I'm serious. Because the food, I mean, and we all better take a look at this and stop playing with it. The food they're eating. I mean, it was GMO 10 years ago. You don't think we are affected by that? Area code, call us. We love to hear your comments. Nisi.
Yes, brother.
What is it? What is it? You're a mom, and I would like the ladies to come call in too, because the females are the ones who, all of us, when we can't take care of ourselves, is normally a female there to take care of us. They're our eyes and ears, because our eyes and ears hasn't developed yet. They feed us. They make sure we're comfortable. So I want to ask you, what is it going to take for your great-grandson coming into a world like this? What is it going to take for him to survive?
It's going to take my sons, because I don't have daughters, I have sons. It's going to take my sons to have an understanding of what is necessary for them to be the protectors, for them to be the things that they need to be in their family dynamic, okay? Because understand this. The man and the woman, the indigenous man and woman, they function as a unit. They always did. You know, when we go and cast net and pull slavery back in there, you had people who knew that all they had was each other. Somewhere along the way, we got discombobulated. We allowed wedges to be driven between us, and now everyone is sitting in the stands eating popcorn while we, go through a WWE every time we see each other. I teach my children, and they're young adults now, that having a woman is not the same as trying to pursue your soulmate. There is a difference. You go through people in the dating process, and your hope is to find your soulmate. But in so doing, you do learn experiences, you learn things, but you have to take those things. You don't let them make you bitter. You go on because your goal is survival. You are part of the process of procreation and all of these things because you are part of a larger mosaic of your people.
You were talking about the male and female dynamic, the unit, and in this United States ideology of life, it's every man for himself. That's the way we're taught. I was wondering, when you were talking about the male and female as a unit, There was a post earlier this week on African Americans Ain't African on Facebook, and the post was of a man and woman. They were in this embrace that I think we should all see all the time. They were in a loving embrace. That's all I can see it. It wasn't nothing X-rated about it at all, because all of us who are over 16, especially guys, we love to see ourselves with a woman like this. Nothing X-rated or nothing. Somebody snitched and went and told Facebook what was up. And it made me think we have totally integrated ourselves. We think about ourselves how white people think of us. I would say 90% of African Americans do. Because what's going on in our communities, I'm talking about on all levels. It's just not the shootings and all this. What are we doing? Rick, your comments.
We stuck in this whirlwind, man. We think that somebody else is supposed to take care of us when it's our responsibility to take care of ourselves. And as we continue to make all these mistakes, we're going to continue to pay. So I would behoove all of the listeners and all the please get all this out, man. Time is running out on us, man. We're dying like flies. And we have to turn this around, and the only way that we're going to have to turn this around is we all going to have to get on the same track, man, the same boat. So until then, man, we're just going to continue to deteriorate.
One message, you're right about that, Rick. One message, we got to, and see, that's the problem with the Afrocentrics and the Christians and all this. The Christian church check this out. Check out how we roll. We are broken down. The male and female, like Nisi was saying earlier, the male and female is broken down. Brothers and sisters, I don't know what this is. I don't know what it is that we are doing where we don't have complete and total love for each other when we see that we're all are getting it. That's what I don't get. We all see that sisters are getting missing every day. Brothers turning up missing every day. And all we have to do is each other is treat us like we do, fight each other like we do. I mean, what are we doing? Is this the final throes of genocide? Is this what we're doing? Area code 605-562-3140. Please call us with your insights, information, what you want to have. And also check us out on Facebook. We post enough information. I'm so proud of this shout out that I got. This lady taught me, she said, you have enough stuff here where I can teach my kids to be geniuses from here. The people that post, please, if you got something that you want to post, something that we need, any recipes that we may need, we're in springtime now. I hope y'all done drop some seeds. Something, grow something, get a plant. Go get a plant from somewhere, pull one up somewhere and see if you can keep it alive. Start working with life. Start working with life. Area code 754, you have something you wanted to add? Area code 754.
Yes, ma'am.
Nisi, you were talking about earlier, you said you had 3 things that you wanted to talk about. What was the other thing that you brought up? I know I touched on it.
Well, this one is a little different. This one has to do with a study, and it's floating around and out there like it generally is propagated. That's not to say it's wholly untrue, but we have to read in between the lines of these things, especially when it comes to so-called air quotes studies and reports and the data and all that stuff. So this one has to do with the overwhelming gap of 1.5 missing black men between the ages of 25 to 54. Okay, now the demographers call this is the prime time of life, for people, understandably. But this isn't new information, and much of it is exaggerated because it's something that they are propagating that, that creates imagery, more negative imagery. We know a lot of people will lock up for things they didn't do, and it's part of the construct that is a part of the cogs in the wheel. Now, my question is, why are we always the subjects of these studies? That's my first question. Why are we always the core nuggets for the demographers? It's just us. Okay, we make up what? Depending on the day, the wind, 13%, 14%, 15% of the population. But
what do you say? What do you say?
We're always the same. I say it's bullshit. I say that these things, we need to call them out on them. Why are they what they are? Since they're built on to drive negativity, why is that?
Okay.
And why are we always being projected in the most negative light, no matter what the focus is?
Check this out. I'm glad you brought that up, especially on the population, because this is what I'm thinking. They always say white people are more them than us here. It's more white people here than us. And Dr. Frances Cress Welsing let us know that, they're only 10% of the world's population, and they're mainly in Europe. How is it that they go to all these continents and then come here, and all of a sudden, they're the majority of people here? So I think that's one of the things in psychological warfare that we have to be cognizant of, is that whatever they tell us, if we believe it, they got our ass. It's just that simple. And one of the things that I'm finding where we're succumbing to now is we take what they tell us, we'll wear it like it's a brand new coat, and we'll be arrogant about it. Like we can't learn nothing new. Oh, these kids don't need to know that. Yeah, they do need to know. They need to know the truth. Because if we keep going down this road that we're going, you know what's going to happen. And so to stave off that inevitability, I think we're going to have to start thinking different. And one of the things that we're going to have to start doing is being on the same page. Because all that energy that goes to check this out, all that energy that goes to the Christian church, all that energy, I'm talking about spiritual energy, y'all. All that spiritual energy that goes to the Christian church, all that spiritual energy that goes to Islam, all that spiritual energy that goes to white folks, all that financial energy that goes to Asians, all that financial energy that goes to these Arabs, all this financial and spiritual energy that goes to these Africans. And I could go on for about the next 3 hours naming stuff. How come we don't turn that in on ourselves on this land right here? And like Nisi say, be that unit and start doing what the hell we need to start doing. Why is that so hard? Why is that so hard? We have a few callers on the line. If you want to get to area code 202, you had something you wanted to add?
Yes, actually, I was listening to the presentation as well as the comments. My name is Caleb Black, and thank you for your show. I saw your post on Facebook, so I thought I'd call in and just say hi and provide some what I believe are solutions to, rather than focus on like so many problems that we know that's just in front of us constantly, but actual solutions. So what I've done is put together a financial plan, a platform in which to accomplish the objectives which the earlier caller, the gentleman, mentioned about being on the same kind of page. And this financial plan is a very simple plan, because a lot of people have all these plans, fund me, this, that, and it's not a plan that is plausible to even execute knowing your environment. So we understand the environment in this plan, and the plan basically generates $2.4 billion in only 270 days. And what it does with that purchasing power that's beginning to be focused within ourselves just with one-time membership of just $25. That's it. But that's how much momentum it generates. And then these begin to be strategic asset purchases that everybody who has participated with that $25 can vote for.
Can you give us an example?
Okay. All right. So the basic membership is $25 plus care enough to share with 5 other people. The examples that you can achieve with that beginning from a unity perspective, because it drives people together. What are the benefits? Why does it drive people together? Because it provides free education. It provides green, economic, off-the-grid homes. It provides educational complexes, just like a university, which will provide. It could provide industry, whether it's
Well, brother, check this out, brother. Check this out. You know what? This sounds like a program that you need to come on the show and talk about.
It's an awesome thing. If you want to go, I got a high-level plan. Just kind of give you some of those overviews on the website called www.45ms.org.
All right, brother. Well, thank you for your comments, man. Give me a call after the show is over so we can talk further, okay?
What number should I call you at?
You can call me at this one. Just leave a message.
Okay, perfect.
All right. Peace. Area code 202. Michelle, you had something you want to add? Michelle? So the brother was talking about something financial. So I think the plan he was talking about, I think we've all heard that before. So, it's something that we all heard before. But when you're talking about finances, you have to remember at one time in America, there used to be money with our faces on it. Did you know that? If you didn't know it, write this down. Confederate currency, the color of money. Book is from a brother, John Jackson, out of South Carolina. Confederate currency, the color of money. And what you'll see your ancestors on the money doing is doing what they did when the foreigners start coming in. You're on the money. Does it make sense that people would be dragged away from their homes, humiliated, and then put on the currencies when the states are starting their business plan? You're on the money. The so-called African American is on the money. So, like the brother was talking about financial plan, since they talk about the dollar's on its way out anyway, and since we make up a huge buying power, why not produce our own currency and take it over that way? It's an idea. I mean, that's why we have this show, so we can share our ideas. How come we don't have our own currency? Because without us going and feeding everybody, they don't eat. How come we don't turn that power in on ourselves? Nisi, why do you think so?
Well, there are a lot of reasons. One of the main reasons I believe is that we simply don't value ourselves, our knowledge, our wherewithal, anything that has to do with I can. We don't believe it. And you can't be bombarded with all of this stuff and have a mindset of can do, because everything around you says that you can't. And that's one of the things that parents have that they can change with their children. The trajectory of their thoughts, you can begin to help your children change that by the things you say to them, what you encourage in them. You can change that.
Okay, so how would you do that? Okay, so you have a kid that has no respect for their mama. I mean, well, get up in mama's face. We know where that trajectory is going. As a mom, give us some ideas on how you can change the trajectory of that kid, what he's thinking.
First of all, that doesn't exist in my house. You know why? Because at 1 year old, it wasn't funny if he kicked me in my shins. That's funny. Right. So when we sit up and laugh at things, when children they're not fully aware of what they're doing. They're babies, they're toddlers. But then you're reinforcing negative behaviors that are going to be problematic for them and you. Why would you do that? It's not funny. So at the time that he's 10, he's trying to whoop you. By the time he's 12, he is whooping you.
Ooh.
Or she.
Ooh, and it gets worse as we get older because those behaviors remain constant. Because like you say, if you're teaching them to be that way, then as they grow up, that's what's going to be that way, and it's going to be a problem to the community. So you're saying when I got to have the sister back who was talking to us about breastfeeding, because the emails I've been getting on breastfeeding is off the hook. That's very important, and it's very beneficial to the baby. But also, like you said, changing the trajectory of their thoughts and actions and what they say. You all right over there, Red? Cool. Rick, what are you saying over there, brother?
Hey, I just say give life a chance, man. I mean, you don't have to. I think a lot of our people, man, we sit around and we wait for something to happen, wait for something to happen to us, or get some kind of fortune or something like that, man. But I mean, it's real simple things that you can do, to turn life around. Just give life a chance, and maybe things will change around. It won't just change around all of a sudden, but it will change. And another thing, I think another problem that we have, man, is we don't like to do hard work, man. I mean, it is anytime this dilemma that we're in right now, it's going to take hard work to get out of it. And man, our people, they act like they don't want to do that, man. They want to sit around and just hope stuff just comes.
What is that? Is that the dream? Is that the dream we hear so much about? We're dreaming about it, and since we're dreaming, we have to be asleep. So is that the program? Because you're right. I have no skin on my hands, and it's messed up. But and you're right. Man, we're not trying to get our fingers dirty. So that's why I say, since this is the earth, since this is nature that we all walk upon, see, this is the problem of what I mean, that we arrogant about it. You walk up on the earth, man, I see people just throwing stuff on it. My yard is full of beer bottles from grown dudes drinking beer and can't just can't. So still children. And we're remaining children for a long time. And one of the things is, in this baby thing, and that's what I mean about this is what we integrated ourselves into. We wanted it. And so there's nobody coming because this is what we begged for. This is what we marched and died for. This is where we at. Everybody's in debt. Everybody's in debt because we buying all this foreign stuff that we don't need. And we ain't producing nothing. Why? Why? And just 100 years ago, you were producing bricks. Tuskegee University, the biggest brick maker in America. How come we don't produce bricks anymore? How come it's not even in the conversation? Well, the NBA playoffs are on, so we may not get no airtime. But why aren't we producing? Why aren't we talking about it? Go to your family. Let's produce something. Let's make something. If it's a new kind of hanger, a new type of toothbrush, a new type of water, shoot, your people might have a spring down in the south somewhere. You don't know it because you think you a Hebrew more Israelite. Because you don't look within yourself, we always looking outside of ourselves. And that's where the African American is at this time. Area code 605-562-3140. African Americans Ain't African Radio. Check us out on Facebook. African Americans Ain't African. We post lots of information. What we're doing now because we're starting to get a lot. People are starting to see what's happening. What we're doing now is we're going to take the Afrocentrics and all these guys, and what we've been doing, we've been going back in the archives. Everybody swapping pictures, everybody swapping images, and we're trying to find people who look like everyday people you've seen. You've seen Eddie Griffith, you've seen Pharrell, Mike Tyson, Muhammad Ali. These pictures, these images, this is another reason why we're taught to hate each other. This is another reason that we're taught to hate ourselves, so we won't recognize ourselves. When you go back and look at these images, you see you. And so what we're doing now to try to, cut off the confusion is the Afrocentrics and all these other people who claim to be all these other things, we're showing them in the indigenous people of America. We're showing those people's faces. And hopefully that's helping, and we're getting a lot of good feedback from it. Standing on our own 2 feet. So the brother came up with an economic idea, and this is one thing that we can do. This is an idea that we can do. So let's say you lived in Central Park, New York, or it can be any park, and you and about 20 people live there. We'll call that your neighborhood. And let's say, now this is something that we can do to connect us back to life. Let's say we're going to grow tomatoes. That's all we're going to do. We're going to focus on for the season is growing tomatoes. We're going to try to grow the biggest, the baddest, the tastiest, the most organic, the ones that weigh the most, the one when people smell them. We're going to grow the baddest tomatoes. And we're going to trade those tomatoes with our brothers in the next neighborhood who may be growing, I don't know what goes with potatoes. I mean, what goes with tomatoes? Let's say they bake bread. Let's say they bake the baddest bread that you have ever tasted in your life. This is how we're going to have to start looking at each other and living with each other. This is how we're going to have to do it. Area code 443. Brother, you had a question or something you wanted to add? Bring us.
Yes, I did. Hey, Terry, how y'all doing?
What's up, brother? Hey, Henry, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing fine. I'm sitting here listening to you guys. That's what I've been doing all day. People got to realize there is no perfect time for anything to happen. You got to do it right now. There is no future. There is no past. You only have right now to do it in. Like today, I went out there. I see my flower plants are coming. I like to pick everything from seeds. Flower plants are jumping up because we've been getting a lot of April rain. I threw some wheat in there with them. I have another patch. I put some wheat in there. People say, why are you planting wheat? You're supposed to have a great big old field to have wheat. No, you don't. You have no idea how much you can yield in a very small space. Then you take that wheat and convert it into that bread that you was talking about. Also growing lettuce. Okay, so you can, like you could say, you can trade for the lettuce patch over there. There you got a sandwich. You got a lettuce, tomato, bread sandwich.
Right.
So people, we got to start doing it. I just see people sitting around looking. I have a Guatemalan next door neighbor. He took the page after me. He saw what I did last year. He started doing it this year. The brothers next to him, they're sitting over there playing backgammon all day and looking it up. I mean, you got young brothers over there like 20, 21 years old. The fathers, the 2 or 3 generations of them just sitting there on the porch playing backgammon all day long with the trousers hanging down. So what makes us like that we become so non-productive? And we've got to look at ourselves real hard because, like the brother said, we don't want to do nothing. We don't want to do no hard work. Don't want to get hands dirty. We don't want to get down on your knees. So I don't know what it is.
Henry, let me ask you this. Okay, we just had a rain that came through here and drenched everything. What?
Mm-hmm.
Now, as far as catching rainwater, is that something that we could be or should be doing?
Yes, we should. I just hooked my little system. I thought I was going to be doing big time. I put a 55-gallon food palatable drum out there that I bought from one of those African food import places. They import all their food, and they send those big drums, those 55-gallon plastic drums over here that are food worthy. All you got to do is go find out where they get their imports, and you can buy them drums from them for like $2 and $3. They just throw them out in the back.
Wow.
So I think I bring them home. I went to the Walmart, got my little tubing and my little plug for the outlet, got my little spigot and everything. Took my little auger, drilled through there, man, and plugged that right into my downspout. And I got a diverter in there, a little plastic, little rubber tubing thing that diverts some of the water down to the tube. Man, the first night we had that little bit of rain, my 55-gallon drum is full.
Wow.
Absolutely full. And I put a hose pipe on it, and it's even got PSI pressure on it. You know, it's got 55 gallons worth of however much that weight pressure pushing that water out, so I can water my garden and everything with that water. It's soft water, don't have no chlorine and fluoride in it.
Right.
So, you know, it's good, man.
Henry, could you give the listeners a number so they can contact you if they wanted to do something like that? If they wanted to, you know, where they can network with you or, you know, learn how to do things because you do things like that. Could you give a contact email or something so they can do that, please?
Yeah, they can reach me at marines1944@AOL.com.
So, Henry, one more last question about the heavy rain. Okay, now my garden, man, I step in my garden and my foot sink. What is that? What is that?
Mm-hmm.
What is that?
Well, you don't have very much clay in your soil.
Uh-huh.
That's a very soft, sandy-like soil that you're dealing with.
Uh-huh.
But, you know, I'm trying to get people to understand that, you know, you don't have to deal with the soil so much because a lot of the soil is leach full of stuff. And we have to start learning to make our own soil and then and grow from those kiddie pools I was telling you about. Because then the kiddie pools catch the rainwater.
Right.
Okay. And so you're always going to have the rainwater. You can get these little dumps, look like little donuts. They're called mosquito dumps, and they're organic. What they do, they make the water. They set the pH level in the water at such a level that the mosquitoes don't want to put their seeds down in there. They don't procreate in that water. So they stay away from it.
Okay.
So, but it doesn't hurt the vegetables or anything. But by that way, you always got, if you use the kiddie pools with the Walmart permeable sack that you carry all that junk out of there, going over to Walmart buying all that foreign stuff. Those bags, you can grow in those bags, and they're permeable. So when you set them in those pools, what happens? The water leaches up the bag, creates a very complex root system. So in 2 bags, those 5-gallon size bags, you can grow about 80 ears of corn.
In one 5-pound, how many 50-pound bag?
You can 2 of those blue Walmart bags. They usually look like they're about a 5-gallon size bag that people be coming out of Walmart with every day.
Right.
Stuff for that foreign goods.
Right.
Those bags are permeable. So if you're ever in the Army, you would know about those shelter heads. If you way up against them, and in a rainstorm, it'll leak. The water will leak right through it. So it's the same chemistry. When you take one of those bags and fill it up with soil and put it in water, it reaches all the way to the top.
Okay.
The whole bag will be wet. The soil will be wet, nice and moist, and then you can create at least a 5-gallon size root. That's a pretty long root structure. So that gives you, the stronger the root, the bigger the plant. So it's all in balance. So, you know, like 2 of those size bags, if you put, say, two seeds of corn in one bag and 2 seeds of corn in the other bag, you're going to have 4 stalks of corn. You're probably going to yield about 80 ears of corn out of those 2 bags.
Wow.
So could you do that, Nisi? Could you take 2 Walmart bags and presto, 80 ears of corn?
I'm going to give it a try. I believe
Yeah.
I can.
I've
been following Brother Henry for a while. He has some great stuff, and people better check him out. They better listen to him.
But I got to give you the formula to create your own soil. Otherwise, this is for naught.
Cool.
Create your own soil. All you need is sand, like you see the construction sand, okay, peat moss, and compost. That's it. And you mix them in proper proportions to one another. you can figure out your proportions depending on the size of the area that you're going to be needing soil for.
So when you say compost, give us an example when you say compost.
Okay, well, I make my own compost from all the vegetable scraps and stuff that we have in the kitchen. It has to be organic. It can't be meat, can't be fish, can't be none of that. It has to be, your scraps from your vegetables, from your lemons, your oranges, your banana peels, all those type things. You can get one of those $5 tubs at the dollar store, those big what you put your clothes in. You can get one of those and just put it on a little frame, let it set up on a frame with a little tilt to it so that the water can drain out. Put that stuff in there and take your rake and turn it over every other day or so. And next thing you know, if you put a little bit of lime in there to speed up the decomposition, and next thing you know, you got dirt up in there.
Give us that ingredients. Do that ingredients one more time. Compost, sand, and peat moss.
And peat moss. There you go.
Okay.
That's the formula.
That's
your own dirt.
Make your own dirt. Well, Henry, thank you, Henry, for sharing with us. We got to have you back on, man, for another one.
Okay, brother. Okay,
all right.
brother.
Thank you.
Can I say something?
Oh, you sure may.
I would like to say that one of the things that activated my knowledge of fruit and vegetables that my ancestors had was when I started planting my own garden. Once I started, I just ran forward with it because me preparing for it, I was being overwhelmed. So I just started doing the basics with my garden. And my garden has developed to the point to where I could feed, comfortably, I could feed about 30 people with, in my garden. It's a lot of trial and error. I just did it. I just went feet first.
So, ma'am, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Because as everybody who has a garden, I ask this: what does it feel like to dine on something that you've grown yourself?
It's an accomplishment. It's something that I'm angry with myself that I had not done when my grandmother had her gardens, that I had not asked her for pointers or I did not allow her to teach me.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way that I feel.
So now that you're doing it, how does it feel for you now?
It feels great. It feels as though I'm paying. It's that I'm giving something back. I'm creating plant life. I'm helping my environment. I'm serving my family healthy food. Nature is working with me. Nature is one thing when I'm puzzled or I have challenges. I go out in my garden while I'm working with the earth. I'm solutions are coming right and left.
That's right.
So go ahead, ma'am. Go ahead.
If anybody who's working with the earth, they automatically understand what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like you said the earth is working with you. You're saying that the earth is working with you. Explain that.
Oh, yes. I have insight where somebody else might not have the insight that I have. I'm able to, if like I said, if I'm trying to think past something to make something make sense to me or to make it clear to me, to look at the details in something while I'm out there in my garden, it's revealed to me.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
African
Awesome.
Oh yes.
African
You
American.
know, like I said, the development that my ancestors had with the plants, which they were famously known for their trade and everything. That's it's being activated while I'm working with the earth.
So when Rick says always get back to the earth, go rest your head on a tree, go take your shoes off and walk across the grass, because I don't know how it feels to walk across a New York City street in some pumps. That has to be horrid. But we got to touch this earth, y'all. We are part of it, and we're so scared of it. It's ludicrous. It's
You know,
ludicrous.
I'll go one step further. When it rains and I know that it's going to rain, I pretty accurate about when it's going to start raining while I'm out in my garden. I'm finishing up when it starts raining, whereas I could feel the rain and I could work in the rain with no shoes on in my garden. You're talking about a high. I mean, that is a high.
So it's
I
just
am so connected.
yeah. So you're just out there on top of Mother Earth doing what you're doing. You're not listening. You're probably listening to the sounds that the earth creates, birds, the trees rustling or whatever, and you're in. Could you mute your phone, please? And you're in this world. You're in this schism, whatever it is. You're into life.
Yeah.
That's what I mean about African Americans. All that energy, if we turn that energy that we give to other people in on ourselves, what do you think would be the outcome?
Oh wow. It's limitless.
And I think it would happen fast.
Yes, I agree that it'll happen fast, but we have to put the energy into the children. That's I see it no other way. I mean, I'm not wasting time with anything else but with the children, because the children understand. There's some innocent about them where it makes sense what you teach them when you teach them the indigenous way. When you teach them who they are,
Yes.
they get it. They understand.
So you're saying the people that who aren't getting it, the people, because I mean, I'm kind of embarrassed when I talk to some of our folks that how they don't know nothing. And
They don't want to know. They do not want to. They know. We know. They know exactly what you're saying about them being indigenous. Is they don't want the responsibility. African Americans, to me, mean a people who do not want the responsibility to make their future generation and their situation better. They don't want to put in the effort.
Like Rick said, they don't want to do no hard work.
No.
All right, but don't they understand that when you do hard work, when a lot of people is doing a lot of hard work at the same time, it's not really all that hard. And so that's where I'm seeing, ma'am, where the schisms and I don't like you because you wear Adidas and I wear Nikes. I got a blonde wig, you got a red wig. All these little different ways that we try on purpose to break ourselves down. Like you say, love, a waste of time.
Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am, for your call.
Thank you.
Nisi. So what we gonna do? What we gonna do, Nisi?
I think they laid out a great plan.
Yes.
I'm trying to get a lady to come on because she's trying to start a program in Memphis with kids and gardens and the whole holistic aspect of children loving nature, getting their hands in it. You don't want to even call it dirty. You want to call it embracing life. So I'm trying to get her to come on. Her name is Betty Tyler. So, she's real busy, and I would love to have her on because starting with the children, getting them out into that. Oh, our elders used to say, idle hands is the devil's workshop, something to that effect. And that's true. Our children aren't doing anything. When, as human beings, because of who we are socially, and we're all connected, we really have to be doing something. And the mindset, just like the caller just said, of not wanting to accept the responsibility, which is why we denounce a lot of things and we embrace things that negate that. That's part of the problem. So while she was talking, I couldn't think of a better definition for being, quote unquote, an African American. When you think about the term and what you're advocating, you're just giving up. And I was just seeing that crystallize when she was talking.
So, Rick, is what you heard tonight, is that part of the, you talked about hard work earlier. The African American really doesn't really want to do some hard work. Is that what you're talking about, what you heard, what the brother and sister was saying earlier, or what the sister said earlier?
Yeah, that's correct. We scared of hard work, man. We don't want to get down and dirty. And so when the time comes, we always get left short. We always expect everybody else to do everything for us, and we just stand around and watch. And the only thing that seems like that we enjoy is living off other people's misery. We get a kick out of that, but we don't care nothing about our own lives. I mean, I don't get that.
So, Rick, why is the arrogance? Because, man, I talk to people, man, and they got an arrogance, man, that blows me out of the water. What is that?
You know what? Some people actually think that they know something, although they really don't know anything. They actually think that that's the way life is. They think that life is full of wanting dead stuff.
Man, I have never seen so many poor people in my life I know poor people that have more possessions than rich people. I know poor people who are paying $200 a month for storage facility, storing some junk that they've accumulated. And if you go around the African American diaspora from Maine to San Diego, Miami to Seattle, and all those Negroes in between, and if you could just add up the stuff that the African American has bought versus what he's produced, your mind has to be blown. I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. Thank you for listening. I want to thank the callers who were calling in, who were giving us some pretty good ideas. Some pretty good ideas. If you're not checking out what's happening to the African American, you sleep. And I'm not talking about what you're just showing you. I'm talking about the games that we want to play. We see what's happening to us, and then not to come forward and step and try to make it better and being arrogant about it. Tisk, tisk, tisk. For Rick Moon, for Niecy Lachelle, thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time.